two, and one.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Today, we're going to talk about how to set yourself apart from other real estate agents and dominate your marketplace. My special guest today is Gary Evans from Houston, Texas. How you doing today, Gary?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing great, Craig. I'm doing just great. Thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Hey, man, how many years have we been together now?
I met you in the fall of 2015.
2015. Okay, so 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And Gary, by the way, is a Craig Proctor coach now. Awesome guy. You're going to get to know him here today. We're going to talk about how he's done such a great job in the Houston, Texas marketplace. Talk about how he's effectively set himself apart from all the other realtors, which has caused just a huge influx of business. So much. Gary has so much business. He got to the point where he couldn't handle all the incoming come list me's and buyer inquiries. And now he has a team. And if you're in Houston, Texas, you're going to want to pay attention and learn about how this works and potentially, just give Gary a call to find out how you can be part of this, maybe partner up with Gary. That is, if you want to make more money and work less, which is, hey, the reason we all get into real estate.
Right.
So Gary, let's go back in time,
Okay.
to share with everybody like how we first met and what has happened to your business since.
Okay. Here's how we first met. So I was in the radio. My background is radio and television advertising, mostly radio advertising here in Houston, working for the biggest operators on the planet. And so I spent 32 years at that. It's the typical story of, okay, I'm climbing the ladder of success. And all of a sudden I realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. So, sometimes your life is changed in a flash in a decision that you make. And I remember where I was on the freeway and I said, I'm going into real estate. So I got licensed up really quick. And I was kind of a secret agent. I was still working my radio job and I was starting to build the real estate company and business on the side. And then I was a Remax guy like you, right? So the balloon and all that. And so I like to read. I'm a reader. So I was walking down the hall one day and asked one of the guys at Remax, hey, what are you reading today? And he goes, I'm reading this book by Dan Kennedy. It's called No BS Marketing. I went, okay, that sounds pretty good. I'll grab that. So I read through and I'm reading about Dan Kennedy and direct response marketing. And of course, I was in the marketing and advertising business, 32 years working with big accounts, that household names. And I go, yeah, this stuff makes sense. Of course it works like this. And then I come to chapter 13 and it's Craig Proctor. And all of a sudden I read chapter 13 and I go, oh my gosh, this is absolutely the way to do it. So I made some phone calls and I did some research, talked to Shelly Salas up in Central Texas, and she's been with you for a long time, her and Louise.
Yeah, and like 1,000 transactions a year, those two.
Absolutely. Yeah. So basically what I did was I called, I think it was Todd's office or your office, and I made him sign me up over the phone. You weren't doing it that way in those days. So I'm not gonna name names to protect the guilty, but I made him basically sign me up on the phone. I went to my first super conference with all the new people, but on the breaks, I was already running ads. I was already calling back leads on the breaks and booking appointments for when I got back.
So hang on a second. You're saying you were at one of your the first Craig Proctor conference and you were running the ads I was giving you while the conference was still on.
Yeah, I was already a coaching member, but I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it from the very beginning so I would understand how the whole process works. So I went and said, let's go to the super conference. I brought my assistant at that time. She came along.
What year is this, Gary?
I was in the fall of 2015.
Okay. All right. So what happens after that?
After that, we come back and we start building. We start using the Craig Proctor system. We start generating leads. I was doing a handful of transactions at that time with mostly friends and family, and I could see that that's not going to last forever. So how do we do this? So what your system
sometimes the family and friends are the hardest transactions.
Yeah. So
what they're looking for is a favor, and favors usually don't pay well.
You want to make sure that, you're still going to have a nice Thanksgiving dinner and you can sit across the table from them. Anyway, you taught me how to do business with strangers. And that year, the following year, half the business that we did came from people that we had never met before. And I knew this was the way to do real estate. And so we've just built on it. And during the pandemic, when a lot of agents were, sitting on the sidelines or didn't know what to do, we grew our business 50%.
Nice.
We started adding team members in 2019, and last year was our best year ever. And I spent 5 months out of the 12 months in a cast or an immobilizer on my right leg, couldn't drive, couldn't walk, couldn't do anything, and kept the business going from basically my bed in a computer. And the reason I was able to do that is because of your system and what you have taught us how to do.
Yeah, because you were basically managing the system. Now, I explain, we talk a lot about systems. What is this Craig Proctor system? What makes this so unique? Why did you, kind of latch onto this as soon as you discovered it?
Well, they told me when I got into real estate, oh, you just get your name out there and you get your picture out there and people call you. And I knew what that stuff, I knew how much money it would take to make an impact. And I'll never had that in my whole life. But with you, the way that you teach us, we run low cost, direct response marketing that makes an offer. That's what's different from us, Craig, that you've taught us that everything that we send out, everything makes an offer, and we speak the language of what the buyer.
Right. And it's not just a offer. It's got to be the right offer for what buyers and sellers in your marketplace want right now. So a lot of realtors say, they'll complain, oh, my marketing doesn't work. Facebook doesn't work. Google doesn't work. My direct mail doesn't work. When the real truth is, it's not that the media doesn't work. It's they don't have the right offer. So not only do you have to have an offer, it's got to be something that people want, and they'll stand up and pay attention, which you've done a great job with.
Well, thank you. And you're right. You have to make the right offer. And then it's like the dog chasing the car. What's he going to do when he catches it? So what you have taught us is a professional contact that it starts demonstrating value from the very first phone call. That's where the process starts, because it's not an event, it's a process. And so it allows us to be able to work with people we've never met before. That's why I was able to do half my business from people that are strangers. And so with the system that you've given us, the ads, the value, the scripts, all you have to do is learn it. That's all you have to do. I tell my outside sales agents, my buyer's agents, we got one presentation to learn. You only got to learn one, and it's like the light bulb comes on.
So how does your business look now, and what function do you play? Are you still running out with buyers and sellers, or are you just kind of the rainmaker and you're in charge of the marketing and training and hiring?
Right. I'm in charge of the marketing, and training, and hiring. I'm still in production, but our business is to the point that I don't have to, it doesn't take my constant involvement with every deal. We have an inside salesperson who's been with me for 2 years. He calls back all of our leads and books our agents on appointments. I tell agents when I'm talking to them that we are a real estate company that provides appointments to real estate agents. So we have
So that's your unique selling proposition too. If you're a realtor in Houston, you're watching this right now, pay attention. Gary Evans, his unique selling proposition to you, a realtor, is you come and you partner up with him. He doesn't give you leads. He gives you actual qualified appointments, and he gives you and coaches you up on the buyer presentation and the listing presentation, because Gary's motivation is he wants you to make as much money as possible, because Gary's going to get a part of that. But net, at the end of the day, Houston realtors, if you partner up with Gary, you will have what you want, which is more money, more time, which is more freedom, right? That's why we get into real estate. So you don't have to invent anything. Gary, you didn't have to invent anything. All you had to do was copy the system.
Exactly. Yeah. I couldn't invent anything. All I did was did what you taught us to do, copied your system. We have an inside salesperson who calls back and books our appointments. We have a transaction manager that once the transaction is signed, they hand it off to our transaction manager. They're not chasing title company documents. They're not chasing lenders. They're going out and they're doing what they got in the business for, is to show in properties and helping people buy and sell homes. We have admins.
It sounds ridiculous, but if I was an outside sales agent, now listen up here, folks. If you're an outside sales agent, you partner up with Gary, you literally are doing nothing except for showing up at listing appointments and going out with buyers and getting contracts signed. So if I was an outside sales agent working for you, Gary, you set up the listing appointment. I show up with your presentation that you've coached me up on. I just follow the PowerPoints, slide 1, slide 2. I'm basically just saying what's on the slides. at the end of that presentation, you've got like a 70 to 80% success rate, even if the seller's interviewing other agents. Now, outside sales agents, check this out. So you go out in the appointment that Gary has set up for you. When you send the paperwork into the office, okay? They will have their team run around, take pictures of the house, get their for sale sign up, make the feature sheets, get the key cut, install the key box, call the sellers every week. I mean, really, the money that you can make per hour doing this is insanity. So this is why Gary's business has thrived, and why, if you're in Houston, Texas, you want to pay attention. Like, don't be shy about this. Just pick up the phone, contact. You can Google him. You'll see him everywhere. Gary Evans, Houston, Texas. Now, if you're not in Houston and you're intrigued by this, you've heard of Craig Proctor before. You're like, hey man, I want to do in my market. I'm not in Houston, but I want to do what Gary's doing. I want you to contact me. You can go to proctorcall.com. Okay, just my name here, proctorcall.com. You'll see my acuity day timer, book a day and a time, and we'll have a conversation. Hey, Gary, that's how all good things started, right? You and I started with a conversation.
Yes. And I would encourage anybody outside the Houston market, you definitely want to contact Craig. I can't, just like Craig said, just pick up the phone, Google him, email him, whatever you do. If you're out there, you need to contact Craig Proctor, because I tell people that, look, if you take the Craig Proctor system from me, you can just have my real estate license, because I'll go back to do something else. I'm not doing it the other way.
The crazy thing is if you were to buy, a franchise of any kind, right? Usually, if I was to buy Subway franchise, they would give you an operating system, right? That doesn't exist in real estate. You and I, we're with Remax, you're at Keller Williams, you're with whatever, but there is no operating system that they give you when you, as a realtor, you sign up for a traditional franchise. Like, Gary, when you and I were with Remax, they didn't say, hey, Gary, here, Craig, here's the Remax lead generation system. Here's our conversion system. Here's, our listing presentation. We didn't have any of that, right? So that's really the void that my company fills in the real estate industry. Is we provide real estate entrepreneurs the operating system, right? Like my iPhone has an operating system, right? So we give you everything you need, because what you said earlier, Gary, is the epiphany that we all eventually have, right? When I started in real estate, same thing. I'm only talking to people I know and friends and family and stuff. And then I had this epiphany. It's like, hey, if I want to be successful at this, I got to figure out how to do business with strangers. And of course, we're all taught the old-fashioned ways to do that, right? Cold calling, door knocking,
driving your friends crazy,
right? Or dumb advertising, right? We're all guilty of that in the beginning. If you're a husband and wife, you might have a picture of your, husband and wife, and your slogan might be spouses selling houses. Or if you're into golf, it might be a picture of you and your golf bag. Or I remember I showed you one of my ads, Gary. My broker said, well, Craig, go out in the middle of a field, take a picture, and, say, call Craig Proctor. He's in a field all by himself, just stupid stuff like that. But
I love that.
But that's the first thing we do, right? It's the normal thing is we look around at what all the other agents are doing, thinking, well, that's the thing to do. And then we realize, hey, maybe that's why other realtors aren't being as successful as they want. So, a lot of the concepts and methodologies that I brought into my real estate business were common outside of real estate. Like direct response marketing existed outside of real estate.
Absolutely.
It just didn't exist inside of real estate.
You brought it to it.
Right. The disc personality stuff, the team concept, as far as I know, I was the first licensed agent to have a team. Brokers had other agents working for them, but, Craig, the real estate agent, didn't have other licensed agents. So, I invented the outside sales, the inside sales. Of course, we started off with administrative people. And so, what we're trying to say is we're not experimenting with you. This is very well proven. I've had thousands and thousands of realtors come through the Craig Proctor system. Let's talk about that, Gary. Just the people you've met, the other realtors that are making millions of dollars doing this using the Craig Proctor system.
Oh my gosh, you're absolutely right, Craig. I have standing phone calls each week with some of our partner agents in other markets, and we're discussing, what are you doing this week? What are you going to do this week? What'd you get done? And then we have other groups that I've met through this system, that we have a group chat and we're discussing, oh, here's a script I use for, a video, and here's what we're having challenges with. And it becomes, okay, so I've got a Craig Proctor coach, Kristen Stampini. I love her. Her and Mark are just outstanding, just absolutely great. But I have
interesting story too there. Kristen and Mark Stampini, they're in Boca Raton, Florida. When Kristen started with me, I don't even think Mark was in real estate. Kristen had just come out of bankruptcy. And when she was taking her real estate license part-time, she was also she was a waiter. So she was, waiting at a restaurant, taking her license part-time, just come out of bankruptcy, over $1 million a year now. That's the kind of people you meet. I mean, we've got agents that are making $1 million a month, right? Not a year. So, your paradigm definitely shifts, right, Gary? Yes. Because you start to think about, holy cow, I could take my annual income and turn that into my monthly income.
Exactly. Certainly can with this system. It's all proven. It's right there. We're not making it up as we go along. It's duplicated in markets. It's duplicated in small markets, big markets that you can't buy anything under $2 million. I mean, it works everywhere if you work the system. That's the key.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say it works on markets, because you coach for me now too, and you hear that a lot, right, from new members. Well, Gary, my market's different. My market's a big city or a small town, or our prices are high or low. Folks, it has nothing to do with the marketplace. In every marketplace in the United States and Canada, I can promise you one thing: real estate agents need good leads, right? If you don't have a steady stream of qualified buyer and seller leads, you will starve to death as a realtor. We all think, well, if I'm really good as a real estate agent, I'm going to be fine. There are lots of really qualified, excellent real estate agents that are starving all over the country. Not that they're not good at the technical parts. They're really good with clients. They just don't have anyone to sell to.
That's right. And how do you think that we can, go from 3 salespeople to 5 to 10 next year, without an overflow of people that want to work with us? And Craig, I tell this story all the time. I say, and I tell this to my agents come in, I said, since I've met Craig Proctor, virtually every closing I've had since then, the people contacted me first. Now, how many people can really say that in real estate?
So no cold calling, no door knocking, no chasing for sale by owners, expired listings, no doing floor time. A big part of being in the Craig Proctor system is what you no longer have to do. Exactly. Right? How many of you watching this right now are like, okay, well, I'm turned on by all that stuff. I don't want to make cold calls. I don't want to, prospect, knock on doors. I don't want to chase FSBOs or expired. That all disappears when you replace it with smart, modern marketing, where you're making the right offers, Gary says, and you will attract the best buyers and sellers in your marketplace. And then it gets to the point where you've got so many buyers and sellers. When you got to that point, Gary, like, I can't even work with them all. That's important. We want you all to have an overflow of buyers and sellers, because now you can exercise your luxury of choice.
Exactly.
Right. In the beginning, I didn't have that, right? Like, if the buyer was nasty, or not even that qualified, or fought me all the way, I had to work with them because it was the only buyer I had. So what happened was, when I figured out lead generation, when I figured out how to replace old-fashioned dumb marketing with smart modern marketing that attracts, sifts, sorts, answers all the prospects, I had so many buyers and sellers that I could choose to work with the most qualified, the most motivated, the most sincere. So it appeared, here's the crazy part, it appeared that Craig Proctor magically got better overnight, where that's not really true. What happened was my prospects became better.
Exactly. Better marketing brings you better prospects.
Better marketing. All of a sudden, it's like, well, my story, Gary. I go from as dumb as a pile of rocks in year 1 of getting my license. Within 36 months, I was named the #1 Remax agent in the world for commissions. How does that happen in 36 months? Right? Was I like super experienced? No, not at all. But on the strength of my marketing, I convinced buyers and sellers that I had something they wanted, and the rest is history. But, what was amazing for me is when I started to share this system with other real estate agents, you know what I realized? Anybody that copies what I do has the same success. In other words, if we flip it around, my success in real estate had nothing to do with Craig Proctor, the person, had everything to do with this systematic way I was doing it. So when I met you, Gary, you're like, okay, let me just follow the system, just copy it.
And that's all I've done, Craig, is to teach these agents the same thing that you taught me, and they get the same results as I do.
So how are you recruiting the agents right now? Like your business is going to keep growing in leaps and bounds. And like our realtors in Houston, are they a little bit skeptical when they hear it's like, hey, man, you don't have to run around doing it. I'm going to give you actual appointments on your day timer. Gary Evans is going to pay for the marketing. Give the leads are going to come into the inside sales agents. We're going to call them, qualify the buyers and sellers, make sure they're for real, put them on your date. You let us know what days you want to work, right? We'll get right. So on outside, you get to, I don't want to work on Saturday. Okay, block Saturday out.
Block your calendar out.
Block your calendar. But if you're not blocked out, Gary Evans is going to fill your calendar with buyer appointments and listing appointments. And we're going to coach you up. You do a lot of coaching and training with your team members to make sure that they're super successful when they show up on those appointments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell them it's lifelong learning over here, that we're going to coach and we're going to train just like any other professional sports or the military. You're going to train. So you're going to train to be better in the training than you are in the actual fight. So when you get to the fight, it's nothing to it. You've already done it. And so we're going to coach and we're going to train them all the way through it.
You know, some of the stuff that we introduce realtors to, a lot of it, realtors haven't even heard of. They don't even know it's possible. Like, for example, what we're doing with social media now and, pixeling prospects and creating custom audiences and this omnipresence where, if you're in Houston and you trip into any of Gary's marketing, you're in his vortex now. Like you're going to see him everywhere. So this is, the complexity of real estate marketing definitely is rising, but it can be taught to you. And again, if you're in Houston, you don't have to learn anything. I mean, I just keep saying this over. If you're in Houston, Texas, you don't have to have a creative bone in your body. Just call Gary Evans. Sit down, go to lunch, go to coffee with him, do a quick call. He will explain what your life would look like when you're on one of these Craig Proctor system teams. He's looking for inside salespeople, outside sales. He's going to have to expand this team to keep with all the incoming business. Where do you see this thing like in 5 years from now, Gary?
Well, I'd like to see it in 5 years. I think we're not constantly involved in it, and we have people that take over what the duties I'm doing right now, and we run it from a cell phone and a computer wherever Beth and I want to end up for the weekend. And I'll always work. I think work is spiritual. I think work is healthy for you. So I'll always be involved somehow. I enjoy working with the people. When I was in radio, I spent a couple of years in sales management, and I enjoyed being able to take the salespeople and say, here, take this thing we created, because back then, in that you made it up on your own and take this out and go make money with it. And so that was one of the things that attracted me to your coaching program, because what the system's given me, first of all, I want to give back to it. And the second thing is you're like the people that you hang around. And I wanted to be in the room with guys like you and Kristen Stampini and Rudy Kasuma and all of the leaders. And I wanted to be around those folks, and maybe some of that would rub off on me.
Yeah, our events are a lot of fun. We have one coming up in Orlando, Florida, by the way, end of July.
Yep.
If you go to craigproctorseminar.com, we'll have all this in the comments below. But if you go to craigproctorseminar.com, you can get information on the Orlando Super Conference. It's coming up. And what would be the best phone number, best way for realtors in Houston? Or you could be a realtor anywhere in the country. If you want to reach out to Gary to, I don't know, verify he's a real guy, his story, what would be the best way for people to reach you, Gary?
Two ways. You can call the office at 832-721-0442. Or if you're not quite ready to talk to me and you just want to find out about how our program works, how our system works, and what we do for the agents, you can go to GaryHasTheAppointments.com. just go to that webpage, GaryHasTheAppointments.com. You'll see how our system works, what we do, what we provide, and then reach out and give us a call. We love to chat with you, whether or not, we just like to talk to people. So come on over. We're looking for folks that want to work less and make more, and have a life, not just a job that consumes their life like it did mine when I first started in real estate and had to do everything myself and didn't have my mind opened up like Craig and Todd and all of the leaders have as to what the possibility is and how to look at this thing as a real business rather than just a job that I created.
Yeah, we want to blow your mind for sure. I mean, that's kind of how you felt when you attended the first conference, right? Your mind was blown to the you're just open up to all the possibilities. Give us a couple of examples of some of the unique selling propositions, some of the unique messaging that you offer up in your marketplace to attract buyers and sellers.
Okay, well, we offer, when we're sitting down with our buyers, we offer, well, of course, we offer the, you can, your home sold guaranteed or we'll buy it. We have a program where if we can guarantee the sale of your home, and if your home doesn't sell, we can step in and buy it ourselves. That way it makes your home more attractive to buyers. It makes it easier to buy, and it creates a wider audience and helps you stand apart from the other sellers out there. With our
let's stop there for 1 minute. Okay, so your home sold or will buy it. Now, a lot of you watching this will be officially freaked out by that. You're like, oh my God, Gary must have bags of money. He must get, buying homes all the time. That's not true. What we're offering is we're offering an insurance policy to a move-up buyer that if they move up and they buy one of Gary's listings, that they're not going to get stuck owning 2 homes.
Exactly.
Right. A lot of sellers, when inventory is tight, a lot of sellers are reluctant, obviously, to list their home until they know where they're going to go. Because, if they list their house and it sells immediately and they can't find another home, they're homeless. So our guaranteed sale program, and you can see that USP is in your background there, your home sold guaranteed, I'll buy it. This is very, as an agent, you might like it or not like it, but it doesn't matter. You know what? You want to know who loves it? Move up buyers. Right? Buyers and sellers love these guarantees because other real estate agents are walking around making promises. Oh, I promise to sell your home. I promise to sell it but if it doesn't sell, the client could end up getting stuck with 2 properties. So this is like a insurance policy that Gary offers move up buyers in Houston, right? If you move up to any of our listings, we will give you an upfront guarantee. Now, this is better than any guarantee that a prospect would get from an iBuyer company. If you go to Open Door or OfferPad or whatever, you get a price and that's the end of it. With the Craig Proctor guaranteed sales system, Gary would give the move up client a written guarantee, and then we market the house, and the seller always gets the highest price, whether it's the upfront written guarantee from Gary or a superior offer from an outside buyer. So it's a really unbelievable offer. It's very attractive to buyers and sellers, but that's just one of your guarantees. Give us another one.
So the environment we're in, you just said it a while ago, Craig, sellers are sometimes they're reluctant to sell because they don't know where they're going to go. The inventory is short. It's hard to find good homes. The best homes go fast. And so what we can do with our targeted marketing systems, we can actually go find the buyer for your home that has the home to sell that you can move into. So we have a list of properties that are maybe not even online, not even for sale yet, that we can match up with our sellers looking for where they want to go in the area, and target market that area to find the sellers before they're even sellers, so that the seller over here can have the home ready to go, so he can move and then have his home sold after that.
So let me share everybody what that would look like. Okay, so let's do a little role play here. So if Gary let's say Gary has a house for sale in Houston. Okay, he wants to buy another house, and he wants to sell his house. First of all, I kind of laugh when real estate agents say, "Well, I don't want to work with buyers because you can't find them a house. I'm only going to work with sellers." Well, really, like, what are you going to do? You're going to sell your client's house, and then they're homeless. Like, you're not going to help them buy. So that's the way to get a seller to list their home with you today is to help them find a buyer, because every seller is a buyer before they're a seller. So the easiest way to attract sellers is to get that person that owns a house to raise their hand and respond as a buyer. Now, the way we do this what Gary is saying here is, if Gary, if you were my client and you had a house to sell, now I want your listing, but yeah, you're going to say, well, Craig, if I sell my house, where am I going to go to? So I would say, well, Gary, tell me what neighborhood in Houston you're looking in. And what I'll do is I will market to that neighborhood that I got a buyer. His name is Gary. Okay. He's married. He's looking in your area. He's been pre-approved for financing. He's flexible on the closing date. He'll pay full market value for a property. If you're thinking of selling, give me a call. Now, what my buyer likes about this is they're the only one that knows about this property. So this would be a home that's not yet listed for sale. This is not a pocket listing or anything like that. We're not asking for the listing. I'm basically would be marketing using our targeted approach. I'd be marketing to a neighborhood that Gary's interested in. I would find a couple of sellers that haven't yet listed that are interested in selling their home. Gary, my buyer, loves it because he's the only buyer that even knows about the property. And when I find Gary a house, guess what he's going to do now? He's going to list his property with me. And I get to literally double end this home that I'm going to find for Gary. And so we've got these really unique approaches, and it doesn't matter what the market's like. And the market's probably, it's changing now. Interest rates are going up. So I've been doing this a long time, right? I've been through a lot, Gary. I've been through in 1990, 91, real estate, that's the first recession I was through. Real estate prices dropped 30%. And then 9/11, like the world pretty much stopped. And then in the early 2000s in Toronto here, we had a SARS epidemic, which closed things down, which is kind of like the first version of COVID. Then we had the financial crisis. So it doesn't matter. And then we had COVID, right? So it doesn't matter whether the market's up or down. The market's always going to change. But you and I were talking about the offers that are key, right? That if you don't understand what offer to make right now in the market, like whatever's going on in the market, you got to ask yourself, well, what is it that buyers and sellers really want? So in this example, Gary is a seller and he wants to move, but he can't find another property. So we're going to come up with an offer that says, hey, Gary, I have a service to help you find off-market and unlisted properties. Simply tell me what you're looking for. It's free of charge. And I'll go out and I'll use my specific target marketing and I'll find you a property in that neighborhood of Houston that you like. And when we do that, Gary's going to buy it. I double in my listing. And now Gary's going to list his house with me. So these are all just great examples of what good, powerful marketing looks like. And this is what we share with you. So if this all makes sense, if you're watching this, like nodding your head up and down and go, you know what? I understand it. I need to be a marketer first. I'm not saying, that not being a good realtor, like it's important to be a good realtor, but there's lots of great realtors, experienced realtors, conscientious realtors who really care about their clients that are starving to death all over the country right now. You've got to learn to be a marketer first. That's what I taught Gary. That's what I'll teach you. And if you partner up with Gary, he'll do all the marketing for you. All you have to do is be an expert at showing up at those listing presentations and buyer presentations using our presentation system. We essentially give you the operating system for your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Craig, you taught me that I thought I was in the real estate business when I met you. And then after being around for just a bit, I realized, no, I'm actually in the marketing business.
That's true. Marketer first. That's you're a marketer. Like your job right now is getting appointments for your team. That's what you focus on. And then recruiting and hiring and training your team. And you're just leveraging this up and scaling this thing up. And now you've got the luxury of choice. You, Gary Evans, can pick and choose who you want to work with. And eventually you'll get to that point where you probably won't be going out on appointments at all. You've really got a business now. That's a true definition of a business, right? Works so you don't have to. How many of you are interested in actually learning more about this? Again, Gary, give us your contact info one more time.
Okay, great. Call me at the office, 832-721-0442, or go to GaryHasTheAppointments.com. Just go to that, GaryHasTheAppointments.com. You learn about it. There's a contact. Then you can email us through there. Say, hey, I want to learn more about this. And we'd love to talk to you.
Hey, Gary, thank you very much for doing this. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube right now. We're live on LinkedIn. Thousands of people will watch this. And hey, if you guys want to get more information about me, set up a call. That's where all good things start. Set up a call. With Gary and I, it all started with a conversation back 6-7 years ago. Yeah. You can go to proctorcall.com. My name, proctorcall.com. We'll have all the info in the comments below. But book a time. Let's have a conversation. Here's how it would work. I'd ask you a bunch of questions about where you are right now and what you want to do. And I give you my thoughts on the best way to do it. And at the end of the call, you're going to say, well, you know what? I like this Craig Proctor guy. I like his approach. And maybe I want to work closer with Craig, which I'd love. Or you might say, you know what? It's not for me. The call is free. Gary Evans, thank you for being awesome,
thank
man.
You, Craig.
I appreciate all you do.
Appreciate you.
Greatest success here going forward this year. Thank you for coaching Craig Proctor agents and all the time you spend with them. And I look forward to seeing you in Orlando, Florida in July.
I'll see you in Orlando in July, Craig. Thanks so much for the opportunity. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. We'll talk.